CCNA Security. On behalf of the entire CBT Nuggets team, welcome aboard. Thank you for joining me on this journey we're going to take together through the world of CCNA Security. Let's take a moment and identify where CCNA Security fits in the big picture. Let's say somebody was just starting or wanted to start in networking. They come up and they ask us, hey, can you tell me what should I take? Where should I start? And what we might do if they have no exposure at all or no experience with computer networks, we might say maybe the CompTIA Network Plus is a great place to start because it's going to teach you the basics and help build a foundation which you can build on. We want the foundation to be nice and solid. Now, after Network Plus, in a Cisco environment, they've got the CCNA. Now, when people say, oh, I've got a CCNA or I'm working on a CCNA, they're normally referring to the route switch. You know how the Kentucky Fried Chicken, they have the original and then they have the extra crispy? Well, I kind of think when people talk about the CCNA and they don't follow it by something, they're normally referring to the original flavor. That's the route switch, the basic foundation components of routing and switching. There's other CCNAs too, like CCNA Wireless, CCNA Service Provider, and there's a CCNA Security. So where exactly does CCNA Security fit in? A CCNA Security is about right here. So this is CCNA Security. So Cisco is expecting, based on the CCNA security certification, they're expecting that you have a basic fundamental knowledge of how networks operate and how Cisco operates. In fact, they're expecting you to be a CCNA in route switch before they'll let you even be awarded a CCNA security. So I wanted to give you a heads up that I'm also going to presume that you have some basic knowledge of how to access a Cisco router and how to do basic functionality at the command line, and you understand the basics of IP and routing protocols, so that when we focus on the security aspects, we're going to assume a little bit on the back end about the basic routing and switching. So that's where CCNA security fits in. Now, where do we go beyond there? Beyond there, there's a CCNP for security. And let me tell you the best way to prepare for a CCNP security. It's in this series right now. Focus and make sure you learn it to know it. So my goal for you is when you're done, is that you'll be able to go out into your network and say, you know what? I recognize we have these vulnerabilities and I know in measurable terms how to fix it, and start putting in the technical controls to mitigate the risk that the vulnerabilities in the past were presenting. So we want to secure our networks and build, again, that best possible fortress of security. And then after CCNP security, there's CCIE security, which I also strongly recommend. It's awesome. And here's what I discovered. Back in 2003, I got my second CCIE. It was in security at that time. And I thought to myself, wow, I really don't know anything, because it opened my eyes to the world of what could possibly happen, and the fact that security isn't a one-time discussion. Security is an ongoing discussion that needs to be involved in every aspect of our network. We're going to make a change. How is that going to affect the security? There's new attacks that are coming our way. How are we going to deal with that? How are we going to mitigate those risks? Let's take a look at what we're going to do, nugget by nugget, you and I, to build this best possible fortress of security. If we have a network like this, how do we start? What do you say? Like, well, where do we begin? And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a methodology called NFP. NFP, Network Foundation Protection. Network Foundation Protection is going to help us to break down this large network into small, manageable chunks. And then we look at each of those chunks and say, what are the vulnerabilities in this area? And then what are the countermeasures or defense mechanisms we can put in to protect and to basically make that vulnerability go away? So once we take a look at NFP, that'll be a great framework to start from. We're going to take a look at everything. We're going to take a look at what can happen at layer 2 with our switches, how to mitigate that, things like man-in-the-middle attacks, things like rogue DHCP servers, MAC flooding for CAM table overflow attacks. All those and more we'll take a look at, and how to protect against those in our infrastructure. We'll take a look at AAA. And I'm not talking about the Automobile Association of America. We're talking about authentication, authorization, and accounting. It's the lifeblood of managing our network and controlling who can get in, who can get out, what users can do what, including administrators. And we're going to use the local routers config for storing information, as well as radius and TACACS to reach out to an ACS server. We'll also take a look at what the heck is stateful filtering and why would we care about stateful filtering. And we'll learn that the zone-based firewall can do it, the adaptive security appliance can do it, And on that topic, that's one of the big changes from the old exam, the old certification. Now we have a beautiful adaptive security appliance, a dedicated firewall from Cisco that we will not only learn in class how to bring up, but we'll get it fully functional from zero to on the network in just a matter of minutes. Not just to do it, but also to understand the characteristics of the firewall. What does the firewall think about the outside? And what does it think about the inside? And what are the flows of traffic that are allowed by default inside of an ASA? And how can we control that? All that and more, nugget by nugget, in our series coming up. One of the last portions of this nugget series we're going to do is we're going to focus on IPS, intrusion prevention systems, how they work, and cryptography. Cryptography is amazing, and it's fascinating, and it's important. We use it all the time to protect the network on the data plane of our network, to make sure that eavesdroppers can't read the data and make sense of it, and also that eavesdroppers can't manipulate the data without our knowledge of it. Cryptography has some basic components. We'll study them together. We'll give some great demonstrations of how they work piece by piece, and then we'll apply them with SSL VPNs and also IPsec VPNs. As you and I enjoy our journey together, going through these nuggets, something amazing is going to happen to us. We are going to change. What do you mean, Keith? We're going to change our perspective and our awareness of the security threats that are surrounding us regarding our network and information security. Our perspective is going to change. And what that's going to translate into is not just fear, but it's going to translate into action. Because not only will we have identified the attacks and the security vulnerabilities that exist, we'll also have identified how to fix them. And when we leave a router or leave a switch, it will not be the same. We're going to be implementing as we go these security measures to build a better fortress of security every step along the way. And that's exciting to me. The fact that we're not just going to be aware of attacks, we're actually going to be able to solve and prevent the attacks from causing damage to the networks that we live on. I'm keeping this introduction fairly short. Why? Because I want you and I to get right into the meat of the matter, starting with network foundation protection. Once again, I'm grateful to be your partner in this journey through the world of CCNA security. I look forward to our sessions together. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.